Hi, this is Cheryl back with you from Farmhouse Frugally. Welcome back. If you're new on this channel, you will find many crafts, many furniture flips, a phenomenal dump here locally, so some great dump hauls, and then trash to treasures from those same items. Today I have 4 items for you. Number 1 is this little blue bucket I picked up at Hobby Lobby last year after Easter for a couple of dollars. It's been sitting in my craft room and I had wanted to do something with it. It was a little more blue than I liked. So I decided to just take out some of the linen white chalk paint and give it a quick coat of that with a rough brush, not fully covering. I did want some of that blue to peek through. I did not paint the interior, not certain what would be going in the bucket, so I wanted to make sure that I didn't affect that. I did paint the handle, and then once that was fully dry, then I pulled out my IOD stamps in the Farmhouse animal. I wanted to use some blue ink because I had a similar blue colored ink to the interior of this bucket, and I thought that would be pretty. And so using the hare or the rabbit there, I wanted to just go ahead and on one side of the bucket to put that cute little bunny on that, and I just really slowly, you just press it down, keep it steady with one hand, and then move it around and make sure that you get all of it. This is going to be a very faint, almost newsprint, I guess, kind of feel. I didn't want it to be very noticeable, not really in your face. It was just very, very subtle. And it came out exactly like I was hoping. And then I decided, because of course if somebody wanted this as an Easter bucket, we all know that it is not about the bunny. It is all about the lamb. And I didn't have a lamb, but I did have a sheep, the next best thing. So on the other side, I just took 2 rags and I rolled them up on either side to keep it from rolling away. And then I just took the same blue ink and I just inked up that little sheep, and I put that sheep one on this side. Again, very subtle, but I think it really came out very sweet. And this is, something you can flip from one side to the other, and certainly you could use it all spring or all summer long or all year long, really. Or you could fill it with something and give it as a gift. But I didn't put any words on it, so it wasn't specifically for Easter, because of course, as much as I love Easter, it is only for the day or the weekend, and I like to have items that I can use for a lot longer than that in my home. So once that was finished, I took some grocery bags, plastic grocery bags, to just fill up the bottom, and then I looked for something that I could use to put on top of that, and I happened to have a bunch of long raffia from a project left over in my craft room. And so after I put the bags in, I put some raffia on top of that. And then I happen to have a similarly colored Easter kitchen towel. So I thought that would be pretty. I just rolled that up, and another one that I had in similar colors. And then a few other little items to just decorate that. A little carrot that I had left from a Dollar Tree garland or a Hobby Lobby garland. A couple of blue eggs. And then I just displayed that on my coffee table. And you might remember behind it I had the little bunny in the carrot patch that I had done a couple of videos back. And then I moved it over here and flipped it on the other side. And here it is with the bunny showing. And I love this subtle blue on white. I love that it can be for spring all year round, or it could be an Easter basket. And that takes me on to item number 2. I happened to be at Target, and at their dollar spot, they had these cute little bunny salt and pepper shakers. and they were $3 for the pair. So I picked up one pair and decided to fill those holes because I am not obviously going to be using these as salt and pepper shakers. And I just took some of this plastic wood filler and just put that in and let it dry. It takes a good hour and a half to dry really well. And then once that is fully dried, I just went ahead with some fine grit sandpaper and I just sanded, so that it would take the bulk of those bumps off of that until those were nice and smooth. And then I would be able to add some paint. The paint or finish that they have on these bunnies is a little bit shiny, so I just used the linen white chalk paint and painted the entire thing with that. Now, once I had these completely covered with the chalk paint, you can't really tell the difference here much other than the shine of it all, but obviously I wanted to cover over the wood filler. But once these were completely dry, since I knew I wanted to add some wax, I did take them outside and I sprayed them with a polyacrylic spray so that the wax would not lift the chalk paint off. If you've ever chalk painted anything, then you know if you add anything liquid, which wax is somewhat liquid, it can pull that paint right off, and then you've kind of defeated the purpose. So it's always best to give it, if you're just going to plain old wax it and not wipe it at all, you're probably going to be okay, but I wanted to wax it. So once the polyacrylic dried, I took out this wax. It looks white, but it actually goes on clear. And once that was completely covered, I just took a napkin and I just went and kind of smoothed some of that off so that it wasn't a heavy wax, but just really coating the chalk paint so that I would be able to put a colored wax on top of this and wipe this away as well. Now, the other day I had made up a blue color. I forget what I had made, but anyways, I had this pretty blue color, so it's half paint and it's half of that wax, so that I would have a blue wax. You can add to a white wax or to a clear wax a colored paint, and that way you get any color wax that you would like. So I just went over that with a blue-green wax and then took that paper towel and just wiped it back so that the wax would settle in the crevices of the bunny and the little details that were there would pop, making it, it's cute white, but I wanted it to have just a touch of the blue as well. So I did the same thing to the other bunny. And then once those were both done, I just went ahead and set them up next to the little bucket that I had just made to add to that display. And you'll notice on the bucket that I added a hang tag. I had just gone onto the Graphic Fairy and printed some little bunny graphic and put it on a cardstock and just added that so that it would pick up a little bit of that blue and just add a little bit of a detail to that little vignette that I was doing for spring or for Easter. So you'll have to let me know what you think about this blue and white little spring Easter decor. And then that takes me on to item number 3. I get my honey from a local person, and I've been saving the jars. And I have 3 that I've run through the dishwasher, and I decided that I'm going to go ahead and give these a couple of coats of the linen white chalked paint so that I can do something fun with these. I don't know if the person who gives me the honey can reuse the jars. I was going to ask them, and if not, honestly, I like not to throw these things away because they make such cute gifts. And since it already is obviously a honey jar, I thought I would do something with the little honeycomb stencil that I have. I went into Graphics Fairy and just printed a few little graphics and glued the little circle bees keep on the lids because the lids were white plastic. And then after I finished giving the two coats of the linen white chalked paint, then I took out two colors. This is a school bus by Folk Art and Java, also by Folk Art. And I just mixed the two of those together until I got a yellow that was more brown, more of a mustard color. I didn't want it to look quite so bright. Then just using a small stencil brush, I took that little stencil. Now, I got that stencil on Amazon, I believe. If I can find it, I'll link it in the description. And I just take that and just kind of pounce over that. I like a stencil brush. Some people like a foam brush. I think I have a little more control with the stencil brush. Doesn't seem to get quite as much underneath. And then once I had the three of them, just slightly different from each other, I finished that and let them dry. And then once those were done, then I took out some twine. I got this beautiful twine holder. Oh, nope, not yet. I took out my Stays-On ink. I have this cute little, I want to say it's IC Paris by Redesign. I'm pretty sure these stamps, and just took the Stays-On black ink and just taped over the area that I didn't want, just leaving the bee so that I could get the ink on that, then take the tape away because the tape also has ink on it as well, and I want to make sure that I only get the bee. And then I just used that on those, and then somewhere along the line I had purchased a few. It could be at Goodwill. I purchased a few of these little tiny flowers, and they came with a little bird and a little butterfly and a little bee. So I also took the little bee, and a little harder to do because it doesn't have the stiff back, but I just went ahead and pressed that on that as well, and I thought just simply adorable. So I did the same thing to those. And then I wanted to put some twine. Here's that beautiful twine bucket I got from the Joanna Gaines Magnolia. And just it has that little cutting tool on the top I like. And I printed some more from Graphics Fairy. Just little things that have either bees keeps or bears or honey or anything about them that looked cute. Wrapped that around the lid a couple times and tied a bow. And just dressed those up a little bit. If you decide to make this, make sure you put your lid on first and then attach the graphic to the top of the lid to make sure that the graphic will be straight where you want it. And then I decided, you know what, I do want some antiquing wax. I wasn't going to, but I think that antiquing wax makes everything better. So I just went ahead and I just took a small chippy brush and went around each of the tags to add a little bit of that antiquing wax around the tag. And then I did the same thing to the little graphic on the lid, then a little bit dry brushing across the stencil. On two of these I just really lightly I've lightly waxed the top of the lid, and on one of them I actually decided to completely like almost paint it on and wipe it off to give it a different look. And here they are. You might remember I made my daughter this box. I gave her this beeswax from that same guy I get the honey from. My girlfriend is so sweet to pick that up for me. I made this box for Christmas to put it in, and here they are. There's the one with the dark wax on the top, the plate that I made a couple of weeks ago in the video that I did Try It Tuesday with Sammy on Unicorn Dust Designs, that plate. And then the maple syrup one beside it is just a different take on this. I added some clay and stamped into the clay and used the dark wax to give that maple syrup bottle a little different look. But I hope you like these. They're very summery. and I just really love the look of them, so you'll have to let me know what you think. And then that takes me on to item number 4. Now 4 is that antique school desk that I picked up at the dump last dump haul, and I could not wait to get my hands on it. So the first thing I did when I got that home was to clean it off and sand it, because I was just so ecstatic about being able to do something with it. It was worse for wear. It had a lot of scratches on the top. Somebody had written their name, Linda, whoever you are, you know who you are, wrote your name in there. Actually, this desk could be from the 50s or the 60s. I have no idea. It's been around, but you can see how bad the top is. It really needs some love. Someone just left it at the good table at the dump. So sanding down all the scratches and getting that as smooth as I could with my sander. And then once that was clean, bringing it upstairs and putting it on some newspaper. Still working in the kitchen. My garage is not quite warm enough. Tip for you, go to Home Depot and get their sample paint. It's $5. So much less expensive than those fancy paints, and it works great. I used that because it was almost a moss-colored green on the base of that desk, and I only gave it one good coat because I wanted a little bit of the wood to be visible. I did not distress it. I decided against that. And then on the top, I took a gel stain in the color Hickory, and I went ahead and just applied the gel stain to the top of the desk and wiped it off with a rag, and then used some polyacrylic once that was completely dry. I think it was a day or two later. Gave that a top of that, and then here it is. And I did the interior of that little cubby hole as well to pick up the same antiquing color. And I think that this desk is now so beautiful. I love these two colors together. I love that moss green. I think it is very spring and very summery. Speaking of which, one of our local farms put out their beautiful plants, and I just had to take a picture because the colors were just so spectacular. I would love it if you would leave a comment. It helps YouTube to share me, and I hope you'll let me know which was your favorite. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget, there's lots of baby shower stuff coming up. Take care.